Ladies and gentlemen, as I erase the name off the whiteboard because it's official, we are live, so I take it off the board. Episode 60, milestone episode here, getting closer and closer to that 100 mark. And tonight's episode is going to be a fantastic one. Joey Conway will be joining us in a moment. But if you guys want to support myself, my guest, all the links are below. You can grab some merchandise if you want to support the ABJ podcast. There is a Patreon. There's no bonus content yet on the Patreon, but it does help keep the lights on. So and I I'm going through some stuff with some car troubles and everything like that. So the any love and support that comes in would be greatly appreciated. If you do buy merch, make sure you send me a photo of you in your merch so I can put it on social media. And our sponsor, our SVW, Suplex Vintage Wrestling. Guys, it has finally happened. A whole store fully dedicated to vintage wrestling. And they said it never could be done, but I have seen it with my own eyes. Suplex Vintage Wrestling is a store curated by wrestling fans for wrestling fans, located on 5th Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, just one block south of South Street in the heart of Queen Village. Their shop is the largest collection of vintage wrestling apparel under one roof. Their selection includes classic designs featuring your favorite wrestlers from the Golden Age, Attitude Era, internationals, indies, and more. And if you're tired of watching premium live events at home, then SVW hosts the best watch parties since your friend Kyle's birthday party when you were 12 years old. And I will be there next Saturday for Night of Champions. It starts at 1 o'clock. There's going to be food. There's going to be drinks. So if you're in the Philadelphia area, come by, hang out, and meet your boy. And if shirts and watch parties are not your thing, don't forget their large selections of figures, replica belts, trading cards, or their t-shirts and hats from rare wrestling memorabilia. They have everything. They have something for everyone if you're the wrestling enthusiast out there. So what are you waiting for? Go check them out at suplex.svw on Instagram or www.suplexsvw.com and let them satisfy your nostalgia needs. Sorry, I almost forgot that last part. But yeah, so go check them out. Huge thank you for their sponsorship. They are helping out so much. They are essentially keeping this podcast running with their sponsorship. I'm going to be completely keeping a buck with you guys. Times are tough right now. Your boy's looking for some work, looking for some ways to keep staying profitable and stay on my feet. And the reason this podcast is still flowing is Suplex. So if you guys can head over to their online store, go look at what they have. If you're looking for those old school 90s Attitude Era t-shirts, they have a bunch. I think they just posted the other day like a sick Doink the Clown shirt, Bam Bam Bigelow shirts, and they're the official vintage t-shirts from that era. They're so sick. So go check them out. And if you're in Philly, make sure you stop by the store. But that'll do it for the housekeeping. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. The live chat is open. So if you are hanging out here and you have a question or you want something, a question you want put out, please type it in there and we'll make sure you guys are heard and you can ask your questions to our guest here tonight. But without further ado, let me bring it in. He is the cause of it all as Joey Conway. What's going on, bud?
Yo, what's going
you're
on?
Frozen. You're frozen on me.
Oh, I'm already frozen?
Already frozen.
It's off to a good start.
Here you go in the chat. Joey Conway is a current EWA World Champion and former NYWC Fusion Champion. So there's
also
a little
NYWC Tag Champion with Randy Summers.
There you go. I don't know how to fix this camera situation. This is.
It's probably me.
Yeah, you want to try backing out and come back in real quick?
Yeah.
All right, gotta give that a shot. As I said, I think he unfroze. It gives me time here. I'll quick read off real fast our other sponsorship, Elevation 1470. Make sure you check those guys out as well. They are reinventing the style of bringing traditional nostalgia apparel to the Frackville and the School County area. And you can find them at www.elevation1470.com for your latest and traditional nostalgic styles of School County. I'm always wearing my Schuylkill Mall hoodie. They're really, really cool. Definitely support them as well as High Tension Wrestling. You can check them out on YouTube, and I think we're good to go. There you go. We got movement.
All right.
Can't just have a frozen camera for you. You know what I mean?
A very weird picture of me, probably as well.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I've been hearing about you for a while. I've heard about you from other content creators, and things are going on. I'm still trying to break into the New York scene myself a little bit and find out what's going on up there. A lot of my people who support me are big fans of yours. You're very anticipated guests. A lot of people are very excited for this one. And then I seen your work and I was like, man, this guy's good on the stick. He can talk. And then I finally got to see you in person in the Contest of Champions seminar in New Jersey.
Yes.
and I was very impressed. Your mic skills in person are just as good. Your in ring is amazing. I love everything you're putting together, and without it getting too further into what we'll learn about you in a minute, if you're listening out there and you're looking for a guy to come work, bro, you can build a company around this dude. And I'm not just saying that to say it. His heel work is unbelievable. His in ring work is unbelievable. He's good at what he does.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah. So when did you find your love and passion for professional wrestling?
I was basically born into it, man. My grandfather was a pro boxer and would always go to WWF events. And he brought my brother there, who was 4 years older than me. And naturally, when I'm born, 4 years difference, my brother's already watching wrestling. So I'm sitting there, back in the 90s. I'm going to date myself, which shouldn't do. But I'm sitting there, we had one TV in the house. So one TV with cable. So my brother's watching TV, watching wrestling. I'm sitting there watching wrestling. So it ended up being through osmosis. I'm just sitting there as a little potato watching wrestling. And then eventually it just every Saturday morning was like our thing. I still watch to this day. I still try to every Monday I try to watch Raw with my brother. Every pay-per-view or premium live event or whatever. I try to watch it with my brother as much as I can, even when I'm home, if I'm home, which is rare now.
Yeah.
But I'm basically from conception, because my dad also watched. So it was
so it's been a family thing. It's been a family bonding experience with the art of professional wrestling.
Hell yeah.
Now, has your brother ever gotten to the business, or was that he was just cool being a fan?
He was going to start training when I did, and he had gotten hurt. He had tore his patella tendon, and he was a little worried about that. So I went, I'll go ahead. If you get better, if you feel better, then you come by. You start, and he just never did, which is fine. He's got a family and stuff, so it's better off. The only thing I got is a fiance and a dog. That's it.
Well, it's a very interesting thing, because it is hard, in any aspect, chasing your dream, whether you're a musician, a podcaster, a professional wrestler, an artist, anything. It is hard to balance that life on the road and training and keeping yourself where you need to be. And every weekend you're not around. You miss a lot doing this business.
I'm lucky. My fiance is extremely understanding, supports me to no end. When she shouldn't. when I'm rolling out of bed, sounding like packing peanuts, cracking all over the place, and she's like, "Yeah, you got a show tomorrow. You better go stretch."
Who was some of your growing up? Who were some of you and your brother's favorites, or did you just like the same person? Was there a rivalry in the household?
We were complete opposites. Complete opposite. My brother always loved the big guys, like the big, strong, like giants. And I always loved like the Shawn Michaels and the, granted he's a giant, but Razor Ramon and Doink. I love Doink. You said it before. You said Bam Bam and Doink during that. What is it? What's the sponsor?
The ad read? Yeah, SVW.
Yeah, and I lost my mind. I was like, what? They got Bam Bam shirts?
Yeah.
I'm literally about to go on their website as soon as we're done. So
yeah,
the advertising worked.
Yeah, dude, they have these old school, like the old school real, like old school Sean shirts. There's one that I seen up there the other day. I almost bought. They have the Undisputed Era Chalkline jacket. They have what do they have? That's the original OG Dude Love shirt. Like
hell yeah,
yeah, stuff you can't find unless it's a third party reprint.
I want that stuff. I don't mind a reprint because I'm gonna destroy it anyway, probably.
Yeah.
But if I can get an original, like absolutely. Finding Bam Bam like original like shirts from Bam Bam is impossible.
Yeah.
I'm such a big Bam Bam Bigelow fan. It's not even funny.
We went to the bar the other day and everyone's like, I was wearing a hoodie and they're like, what shirt are you wearing today? Because everyone's always asking me what wrestling shirt I'm wearing. Because usually everywhere I go, I'm wearing a wrestling shirt. And I was wearing a Luna Vachon shirt. And everyone's like, who wears a Luna Vachon shirt? I said, this guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I hope that it doesn't stick around, but I'll say it now. On my arm is secretly Bam Bam, Luna, and Sherry. I'm sorry, Bolicano.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna put Sherry, but I decided not to do Sherry. But
I would, dude. I want on this arm. I want it redone though. I don't want the same exact tattoo, but I want to get that
big pep.
that new school American traditional style Shawn Michaels heart dagger snake.
Hell yeah!
Yeah,
It was faded when it was already done. But
yeah.
by the
Like he
time
got it in like the Jersey Shore on the boardwalk or something one night.
That's better work for. It's too good for Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Now somewhere in Texas.
But that's a pipeline dream for me is to get that Shawn tattoo. Yeah, so he was into the Giants and you were into the obviously the Shawns, which is the greatest of all time.
He loved Bret Hart. I loved Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
You know, he loved Lex Luger. I liked Yokozuna. Like it was always like he loved the white meat babyface. Like still to this day, will bite hard for a white meat giant babyface. It's absolutely hilarious. Like loved Sheamus when Sheamus came around, was a babyface. Like lost his mind for Sheamus because he's just a jack dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's I love
your brother's like a Vince guy. I'm a body guy.
Huge Vince guy. Huge. Such good.
So when did you make that transition from becoming a fan to the point in your life where you're like, hey, I want to become a professional wrestler? Don't want to date you again, but at some point in time, you know, the internet's not always a thing. It's not as easy as it was once in time where you can just go online and find things. So how did you stumble across your first school? Are you still at that school? And walk us through that process.
I'm definitely still at that school. It's NYWC in Deer Park. I still train there every week, multiple times a week. I'm still there in the ring every day, wrestling like 30-40 minutes with the students, just trying to blow myself up and die. Trying to get better every single day. They teach me as much as I teach. I don't even teach them, but like I just go in and train. But I learn just as much now as I did when I started. That because Mike Mondo and is one of my trainers. He's like my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
We have Michael Mistretta, another person. If you don't know who that is, he hasn't been around forever, but he's really freaking good. He's about to go to Europe for a European tour with CZW coming up, which is sick for him.
Yeah,
but
a lot of big names have come out of NYWC for a while. Kurt Hawkins originally from there. A lot of people you see on TV. Willow Nightingale is an NYWC.
Tony
Nese,
Alex Reynolds, John Silver.
Yep, Johnny Hungy and those guys. So there's some lineage there.
Yeah, we're reading from the book from Mikey Whipwreck.
Yep,
we're same way Mikey trained people back in the day. And it's, you know, you can't beat good training, you know, especially when it's real tough and it beats you up every time. And so you learn what comes next. And I always tell, you know, some of the younger guys when they come and ask me like, oh, you know, I want to go out there and, you know, go try and, you know, get booked here and there and there, like go, just understand that, you know, you're going to go from doing, you know, 1 show a month to 4 shows a month, 5 shows a month. There's a big difference in how your body feels.
Yeah.
You know, luckily I wrestle I'm booked at least once a week. I have a booking, and that goes as of right now all the way to July or August. So I'm hoping to fill in those other dates. You know, some of the dates are three times, you know, a week, 4 times a week. So it's not, you know, one time a month anymore. And your body, you know, you need that rest, you need that relaxation, you need to figure out, you know, what your body needs. And, you know, that's not easy, but training every week, multiple times a week sure helps. You know, you don't learn bad habits, and you learn how to do this the right way and protect yourself.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. How long have you been in the business?
10 years.
10 years.
11 technically, but 10 years I say.
Yeah.
We also like missed a half a year. Like
what a pandemic.
I didn't like start really getting into it for a little while. It took me a little bit.
Yeah. Now, well, that's a cool thing, man. Because when you was that Tom's River, New Jersey thing, that's a hike. That's a little bit of a travel for you, up that way. And 10 years in the business, and you're still doing seminars, you're still going to tryouts, you're still putting yourself out there. And honestly, that speaks volumes. Because I feel like a lot of times in this business, people get in and they do their 3-4 years, and they're like, I don't need to go to seminars anymore. I don't have to go to training. I'm just gonna take my training is essentially just me I'll do the gym on my own. And then when I get booked this weekend, that's where I'm going to get my work in the ring. And you can tell the difference between people who live that lifestyle in the business and the people who train every week and the people who go to class and the people who are still showing up at the school and putting that work in. There's a clear division of that talent.
It is a big difference. And you know what, to be completely honest, I was one of those guys, and I did slack off, and I did form bad habits, and I did, I got a lot of heat for that back in the day. And I gladly say that I was a shithead earlier in my career. And I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because I picked up some of this very fast. Other stuff I did not. And it took me a very long time to understand it. I'm still trying to understand some stuff, and I don't think you ever stop learning. I think that's key with this. And, but I was a shithead for a long time, and I did rub people the wrong way. And it sucks because, some people, they still see me that way, but, I did correct that. I got a wake up call, and that was when I got hurt. And it was taken away from me, and they told me I may never wrestle again. And I said, that's not happening. Mm-hmm. And, a year recovery turned into, or 9-month recovery turned into 2 months. And I was back in the ring in 2 months after having surgery. And ever since then, I didn't stop. And I put my head down and grinded away as much as I could. And, maybe I could have grounded more, and I still to this day you could always do more. You could be better on social media. You could be practicing your promos more. You could be releasing more promos. You could do, more training in the ring. You could be in the gym every day more. There's always something you can improve upon. And, character work. You could always up your character work. You could take classes on that. And, there's always new stuff, and I could be doing more always. But I do a hell of a lot now. So I'm trying to fit that into my schedule now.
Why do you think you had that attitude earlier in your career? Was it because I'll tell you what, I'm going to be honest. You put yourself around certain people in this business, or maybe getting involved with some veterans who are just kind of those guys who are in the locker room who are bitter and angry and just negative locker room, and then you kind of get sucked into that, and you can easily become someone who talks about how much they love a business, but essentially all you're doing is just talking about how much you hate being where you are. Is that kind of something? Because I've seen that happens every weekend. You see the people like that who genuinely have a love for what they're doing, but they're just so beat up mentally from this business, they get angry at it.
It's so frustrating watching that, but that is not what happened. I was handed too much too early.
Okay.
And I got a little bit of a head on me, and I thought I knew this better than I did. And a lot of people get to that point. I thought I knew this stuff better than I did. And turns out I didn't. I didn't know anything. I didn't know, I barely could lace my boots, man. And I rubbed the wrong people the wrong way. And I'm going to go back to what you said before. But I still to this day take seminars. Always, because you can always learn stuff from people, no matter who. And I have notebooks full that I still go back to and read. But I was taking these seminars, and I was like I said before, I pick up on stuff fairly quickly. Some stuff I don't. Some of the physical stuff I did pick up very quickly. And when I'm doing these seminars, these people start noticing that I'm picking up on stuff pretty quickly, and they. A couple people gravitated to me and started talking to me. They would DM me, and I would put my nose up and be like, "Oh, this guy, me and him talk all the time." And I was that kid that 2 years in the business talking to somebody who's about to get signed or is signed, and I thought my shit didn't stink, and that was my fault. That was I got a wake up call. I got multiple wake up calls along the line. but I kept putting them on snooze, putting them on snooze, putting them on snooze, putting them on snooze. And the one that broke, the straw that broke the camel's back was me getting hurt. And, I needed that slap in the face to calm me down and show me what I loved in the first place. Because I didn't have that. I did have that, actually. I just wasn't listening to it. And that sucks. That's very unfortunate. And I see a lot of people go through that even now.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting question, and it's not a question I get to ask a lot, because not many wrestling schools have the privilege that an NYWC has. When you have a group of students, and 5 of 4 of those students are on TV right now. So when you're in a class and you're working side by side with these talents, and you've been there maybe longer or not as long, or whatever the case may be, and you're all trying to chase that same dream, and you're all happy for one another. I'm not trying to put jealousy or plant any of those negative seeds, but like, how do you mentally put that in your head that like they made it and I'm still here, as well as also having the mentality of it, if they're making it, I got to be in the right place, because they're, you know what I mean? Like the training and toolage they're getting here is helping them get to that next level. How do you balance that?
It's weird, because I used to go through that where I would get jealous, and I'd be like, oh man, why isn't it me? Why isn't it me? Why isn't it me? And instead of saying why not me, again, this is Mike Mondo. Mike Mondo came in, and he's the one that I was trained by, Tony Nese, Alex Reynolds, Mike Mondo, and then which are legends, like in our area, in this, tri-state area. They're incredible. But they left, and then other trainers came in, and people were gone and going off and getting signed and doing this other stuff. And then when Mondo came back, but I always talked to him, so I always had his little, I could sprinkle his little knowledge on something, because I could throw a question out, always post a question to him. And he kind of broke it down to me and was like, it's not why not me, it's live and learn, for sure. You have to take responsibility. If you don't, like, you're just shortchanging yourself, honestly. I want this more than I want. I want this more than I need air. I need it, and if I'm not giving myself that next step, then I need to be honest with myself about that. And a lot of people aren't honest with themselves.
Yeah.
But back to that, I was always, I forget where I was even headed with that, honestly.
Mike Mondo came back, and you were using his toolage.
Yeah. Instead of why not me, it became, what are they doing differently? What can I do to be different or be more like what they did? My character wasn't developing properly, and I had all these holes, and I did nothing lined up. Like, I'm a cool guy, I walk out like a cool guy, and then I wrestle like a kickbox guy. No, that's like, there's a miss there. I'm not going to connect to that. So I took a step back, and I never really watched my stuff, and I started just grilling my stuff and just destroying like my footwork, and destroying, how would I do this? Why do I do this? Why do I do that? And I started putting things in place, and instead of, getting bitter and getting angry like those vets, and I really truly hate watching, before the doors open, they roll their little rolly bags into the building with the slowest walk ever. They're 5-block vets. They haven't been anywhere farther than 5 blocks away, but they're still hurting from 6 weeks ago when they had their last show. Like, come on, man. Like, you're supposed to love this stuff. And if you don't, leave, because it's not making the locker room any better. It truly.
I talked to a guy, and I said, dude, there's a t-shirt I want to make, and if he doesn't do it soon, I'm pulling the trigger. And I just want a t-shirt that just says stay home. Because if you're not here for the right reasons, stay home.
Stay home. What does that hurt? You're not. These guys. These are the guys that aren't making money in this. So it's not like you're losing anything. You're probably going to benefit, because you don't have to put gas in your car to come, to the next town, because that's where they wrestle. They don't wrestle in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They wrestle in town number 2 in VFWB over here, and they're just bitter and angry for no reason, like the entire HWA, which is another story on its own. Which I hope that Paul Laurie is watching so I can trash him for that. But that that's I hate that stuff. I really truly do, and I see it. You see it. How often do you see it? It's weekly, and just stay home. That's the shirt. You make that shirt, I'm gonna buy it, please.
Yeah, just stay home. Stay home. We don't need it. Yeah. So there you go. Oh my, the oh my gods are coming, and the be nice Joey. So
Yep.
you said you had different styles of character and everything that you're kind of doing now. When did the Joey Conway that we have now flourish, and when did this character come into effect, and what did you pull from for this character?
Today, I develop this character every single day. I find stuff, movies, music that makes me feel the way I feel when I walk through that curtain, and I take that and I try to add that to what I'm doing. And I literally went hard and went online, found all these acting things, and just watched videos and took notes on them. And I tried to create character. Regular character development is like, what's your favorite color? What kind of car do you drive? What all this stuff. People can't answer that. And if you can't answer that, then you haven't developed your character, I think.
Yeah. That's funny. It's funny you say that, because I have friends who are actors, and they say when they go to play a character in a role, even if it's the smallest role you can imagine, how they develop that character is like, what is that character's favorite food? What would that character do in this situation? Because you have to put that in your mind when you become that person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much of your character is the past Joey that had the chip on his shoulder, that was arrogant, because it feels like a lot of what kind of got you heat is your character now.
Yeah, I just became me, and I learned where to put it, and I didn't put it in the locker room. And I always make a joke. It's like an ongoing joke. So like, if you've ever heard me talk about seminars, I do a seminar. It's how to get heat in the locker room, and that's always been my thing. I always get heat for just being me. And I seemed carefree back in the day, and I still do, I think. But I took that person that was just bitter and angry about people passing them by when I truly didn't belong even being in the conversation with them. And I just took that like fire and that like pit in my stomach, and just when I walk through the curtain, that's what it is. It's
you essentially took that character from one side of the curtain now in front of the other.
100%. And I just amplified it a lot, to be more cartoony, obviously. I have my mustache down today, but like I wanted to be an evil, like a villain, like a true cartoon villain. And
it's funny how much, because I when I say this, I don't want people to judge me or anything. I have my 666 little devil. Like, I like that lore. I'm not a devil worshiper. I'm technically agnostic, but like, they're like as above as below, like all that stuff is very devil worshiping stuff. Like you have a devil character. You have the mustache, the
pointy beard.
Yeah. You know what actually I get a lot of with you? Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York.
Ooh.
Have you ever seen that?
No. It's one of the movies that skipped by me and I missed it. So
go watch it.
I can watch it.
There's a lot of Joey Conway in that character. He's like this old, like this Irish piece of shit, but he's such a good character in it. Definitely go look at that movie. Yeah,
I'm a big time piece of shit. So,
so I got to see you wrestle on a bigger stage recently at Win.
Yes.
Now, the only critique I had in that match, I said I loved the main event. I thought it was great. I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm a huge fan of PJ Savage, and I fell in love with Hamlet. And I actually said to, I don't know if I said it to Paul or if I said it to the SAT that were sitting on stage. I said, you know what the only problem in this match is? And they're like, what? I'm like, Hamlet shouldn't be there yet. And they're like, why? And I was like, his character doesn't make sense in this match right now because he's introducing to the company, and you have two characters who are not going to play into his character. And but what he did so brilliantly is he knew that you guys as characters were not going to be intimidated, by not going to be afraid, because it doesn't make sense for your characters.
Yeah.
So essentially he turned around and just freaked out the audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which was smart on his part. Very smart.
He's so good. I think that was his first time debuting that character, period.
Yeah.
Like on a show at all. I'm a huge Silence of the Lambs fan, so
me too.
That I literally showed everybody and anybody that promo, and I was like, this is the greatest thing of all time. This is the greatest thing of all time. This greatest.
And then
so silly.
Yeah, so good. But that was the only thing, is that I would have brought him in to have maybe like not like a mid card guy, but someone who like that's going to go in there and take the loss and play into his character and be afraid and be scared to set that tone. But I also wanted to like give him his roses there too, because he wasn't getting that from PJ. He wasn't getting that from you. Your two characters are not going to put up with any shit. You're the devil himself. You're not afraid of this guy. So like, but he turned that and realized like, okay, I'm not going to get this character over in the ring with my opponents. So anytime he was out of the ring, he just freaked the crowd out, and it was done perfectly.
Yeah, he learned on the fly what to do, and to completely honest in that none of us knew what to expect from that crowd. It was WrestleMania weekend on the wrong coast. We sold out that building with the most tickets it had ever sold, and they have wrestling weekly in that building.
Yeah,
that show was the show that shouldn't have. There was no name, so to speak, on that card other than SAT and Lindsay.
Ichiban. I think Ichiban's pretty high up there.
Oh, Ichiban, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not like a TV name, he's not like you're bringing in Fandango, or you're bringing in Cardona, or these guys that were on TV. Lindsay was on TV, but he wasn't a main event guy. He wasn't one of those dudes that was featured. Unfortunately, he should have been, because he's incredible. And he looks insane. If nobody's seen him since he was released, the dude works better than he ever did, and he looks like $1 million. I don't understand, but that's the show that shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't have sold that well.
Yeah.
Like on the wrong coast. It was during WrestleMania weekend, where everybody was on the opposite end of the world from us, and they were having a blast. And everyone on that card showed up and showed why we were pissed off that we were left off that. And that whole show, I really hope that they release that show, because that show slayed. Slayed. I everyone on that card deserves a round of applause.
I went. There's a lot of my friends who wrestle on that card, and a lot of people who I really care about on that card. I still call them the Takeover, even though they're not a team anymore. But Jocko, PJ Savage, Face, I love those guys to death. They are some of the most entertaining people on this coast. But when I seen CMD, Miracle One, and SAT in that triple threat, I was like, oh, I'm driving 3 hours of Jersey for this one.
And now, like, put that together, and then realize that they were left off West Coast. All three teams. What? That's so silly. And we all had a chip on our shoulder going into that. We had a locker room meeting earlier, and I sat deep in the back, because I really don't try to talk to people, and it's like the truth. I really don't like people. But we had a locker room meeting, and I heard them talking about trying to rally the troops, and hey, it's going to be a good night, almost like they didn't know what was coming. And sure enough, the building sold out. The energy was there all night, the whole night. I was watching from the curtain, and I'm like, geez, man, this is something special. And I was real pumped to be able to be in that main event, and have that pressure put on my shoulders, as well as PJ and Hamlet. But I was real happy with that, because again, I was pissed. I was legitimately pissed off that I had a booking in California and they overbooked and they asked me to not come. And I said, that's fine. That's no big deal. Because I was going to do Win anyway. And the goal was to fly home for Win. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it was Win was on a Saturday. That was on a Friday, right? No, Win was on a Friday. So that would have been on a Thursday. It would have been a day before. Right? Am I wrong?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it wasn't the night of WrestleMania, which is 100 nights in a row.
Yeah. Between GCW and WWE, that weekend's pretty slated heavy.
It's insane. So, I was pretty pumped that I still was able to, try to tear it down. And I think we did, I think that match stands for, for itself. And I hope when it gets released, it gets, it gets watched by people. And, it's a moment in time for the three of us specifically. I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm sure that they feel sentiments of the same ish. It's a moment in time that I won't forget because it's a moment in time where that chip on my shoulder got bigger and I could physically watch it happen.
Yeah.
I was, like I said, I was legitimately pissed off that I was left off anything from WrestleMania weekend. But
well, next year it is coming back to our coast, and I've seen a lot of social media posts from a lot of wrestlers all saying that they are going to work their asses off this year, and this is the year that they get their name out there. This is the year they push harder because they don't want to be left off when it comes back to this coast.
They should have been doing that last year. They should have been doing that the year before. They should have been doing that the year before that, or that. And if they weren't in the business then, sorry. But they should be doing that every year. Like, that's why I train 3 times a week at least. I'm still in the ring like 175,000 hours. There's my dog yelling at me for not being, like it's like, that's the stuff that now gets me. Like now I'm that guy that gets pissed off that, people are, I'm going to work harder next year. That's great. Please do work harder because it makes indies better. It makes wherever you're wrestling better. It makes your matches better, your stories better, your this better. But you should be doing that for you, not for one show.
You are speaking to my heart right now. You know how frustrated I get when I show up at a wrestling promotion and it's me, and there's no shade. Everyone works really hard. And maybe this is my Joey Conway coming out, but I don't think there's anyone that works like me. I don't. And I don't think there's anyone who respects the locker room like I do as a content creator. I don't go in there and make it about myself. I'm not in there screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm not in there going crazy and saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. When I show up at a show, I earn the respect of the locker room, and I do whatever I can to make that show flow better. If I have something in my trunk that can make that show look better, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to do it. And I don't expect anything for it.
No, that's pride. That's pride in work. And so many people have got this chip on their shoulder that they don't think that they should be. They should have to. They should do this. They should do that. Listen, like, we all still have to pay dues.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit who you are. We're still paying dues. Like, we're always going to be paying dues. And if you think when you get to the top and you're world champ and you're sitting there, on your high horse, you think you're still not going to pay dues. What do you mean? They're doing morning shows every day. They're doing 14 Saturday Night Lives a year. They're doing all this other stuff. They're still paying dues at the top.
Yep.
You're not, the independent wrestling scene is so strange sometimes because it just seems like there's a lot of guys that could go to that next level, but are happy being the small fish in the small pond with all the other small fish because they can't grow past 5'4", and that's just the truth. Sorry, I'm going to speak the truth. You can't be the small dude on the card and wrestle like you're 6'3", and don't train and don't do this and don't do that and don't try to better your character and then go, but I don't have to show up to help out with ring crew, or I don't have to show up and help out with, production and, I'll cut a promo. This is the biggest pet peeve I have about independent wrestling. And I know I'm on a rant right now.
I love it.
But promos, no one puts out promos I put out a promo for every single show I do. The only reason that I did a Full Faith Wrestling show this last weekend, last Saturday. It was an afternoon show. The only reason I did not put a promo out for that show was because I put a promo out for that show in January and I deleted it off my my phone because I needed to make room, and the promoter did not have it, so I had to not have a promo. Still have to shoot a promo for Win on Thursday. It is currently Tuesday, so I am still gonna get a promo out for that.
Yep.
But people need to start doing promos, man. Like,
and stop doing them from the front seat of your car. No one likes that shit anymore.
I almost did one the other day on purpose from the front.
From the front, yeah.
God, I just want to be like tongue in cheek, tearing apart everybody, but I feel like it wouldn't come off that way. It would just feel like I'm just doing a promo in a car.
Yeah, that's the thing though, is a lot of people don't have that access to the other side of the curtain, and they you know what I mean, and like that's where I have to like separate myself from the content creator space, because I am very privy to be on the other side of the curtain. I am very privy to meeting people out of character and knowing things in the business that I probably shouldn't be knowing or privy to, but I feel like I've earned that respect to do so. And then there's other people who are just interviewing you from the other side of the guardrail, and it's just like, oh, they don't get that because they're not back there to see it.
No, I like both though. You know, we need multiple perspectives.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree.
It becomes, you know, I still use some of my friends who are wrestling fans as sounding boards. Like, I'll show them matches and be like, well, what do you think? As a wrestling fan, not as my friend. I want to know, as a wrestling fan, what you truly believe. You know, was this good? Was this bad? Would you see this on Monday Night Raw? Would you see this on Wednesday Night's Dynamite? Would you see this on SmackDown or Rampage or any of this other stuff? Would you like to watch this on there? Regardless if it's me. Was this promo fun to watch? Did you understand it? Was it too in the business for you? You know, like, I always ask these questions of these people because I truly value what fans see, because I was absolutely obsessed with wrestling before I was in the business, and now I'm way worse. But but I you know, how I got in the business was because I was at an autograph signing, a Shawn Michaels autograph signing. I was handed a club card for a NYWC show, and I went, oh, cool, this is cool. And I went to high school with that guy. Oh shit, let me go see this. So I went with my brother. We went, holy shit, we're this close to a wrestling ring. This is incredible. Like, independent wrestling, I never really experienced that. So I started looking up other wrestling companies, because they were, you know, I could see the $1 Million Man. The $1 Million Man's like 20 minutes from my house. What do you mean? This is you know, like, never knew that these like small shows would go off, and they had incredible. Dude, I'm watching. One of my first indie shows was Carlito versus like Sanjay Dutt or something like that.
Wow. And
I'm like, oh, an Amazing Red was on the card. I'm like, this is the craziest thing. And I watched Red when I was, you know, in high school. I was, you know, we were tape trading for SAT and Amazing Red and, you know, Quiet Storm and all these guys. And I'm like, this is amazing. I didn't know that they were independent wrestlers, because they were on Ring of Honor when I was watching what they were, you know, what they were doing. By the time, because again, I'm going to date myself. Not what it is now, and you it up. I had to ask Jeeves, so. But like, I don't. That's how I got in, man. I still respect that you know, that vision, that opinion. Very.
I do have two more here, and then I'll get you out of here, I promise. The first one I want to ask here is, you just recently had a little bit of a travel. You've wrestled out of the country. You got to go to Puerto Rico and got to do some wrestling. How was that wrestling?
I like what you said. I wrestled out of the country.
Yeah.
Because it's been brought to my attention. I put out a tweet when I got home. The day I got home, I was advertised for a show, and I laughed about it, because I was like, oh man, like, oh, I get off the plane, I turn off airplane mode from traveling internationally, blah blah blah, and I put out a tweet, and I laughed about it because it said wrestling internationally, and somebody had shit on me for saying wrestling internationally. they clearly don't understand that I'm a bad guy. I can say whatever I want, and it is true. I never lie. So it is international technically. Yes, it's a US province. I didn't need a passport to go there, but it is international travel because they are a different country technically.
Yeah.
So,
and the guy who probably said it, or whoever said it, probably never wrestled outside of the 30-mile bubble, so they can suck it.
did, and that was the worst part, because I can't wait to see them in person and just trash them, because I got you shithead. Point. I was hoping that people would purposely say stuff like that and say like, "Oh, you didn't wrestle internationally." Okay, cool, but I did, and that's fine, because you don't know geography. That's fine. It's great. It's wonderful, and you're not an idiot for saying that. But that trip was incredible. I learned so much. I grew as a performer so much. I had to wrestle people that I could not speak the same language as. I am not fluent in Spanish. I am not even remotely fluent in Spanish. I can understand you if you speak slowly and you're speaking like generic, like high school taught Spanish. But if
what you get taught in high school in Spanish, little boys and girls, is not the same Spanish they speak in Dominican Republic, and it's not the same as they speak in Puerto Rico. What you're being taught is Spain Spanish,
not even
Mexican Spanish, essentially.
It's not even like there is a different dialect. They say things completely different. So I'm sitting there like a deer in the headlights, like, oh, okay. And now, put on top of that, they also call wrestling moves different things, completely different things. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what any of this is. This is going to be interesting. How do I figure out what I'm doing? And it was a challenge, and it was something that I stepped up to the plate, and I was very nervous about going into it. And I think I did really well.
I don't want to put all the pressure on you guys, but I'm just saying you guys went down there first, and then Backlash went, and it was the biggest wrestling show of the year because the Puerto Rican nation loves them some professional wrestling. They
really do, and I wasn't sure how the crowd would react in general to some like independent wrestling, and they reacted huge. They hated me. I got hit with a megaphone by some old lady who then blessed my opponent and tried to put a curse on me. She was yelling some chant, some church chant at me. It was, and I couldn't. There's a picture up on my Instagram of me doing this, and that was right after she was trying to curse me, and I thought it was one of the most amazing things ever because they truly believed. I fought through the whole crowd. We went off and we did, the Bruiser Brody, Abdul with Butcher, through the crowd, beating the trash out of each other. And as I turned around, I kind of took a hard step towards the crowd, and they scattered like ants, and just they were falling all over each other. That was the moment I looked back at my opponent. I was like, holy shit, we got him.
Bro, I'll tell you right now, you go back to the Win show that happened in Jersey. I am fortunate enough to work for IWA in New Jersey. And and the Sanctuary in Hazleton has become another this. If you want a crowd to invest in your professional wrestling, get Spanish people, bro. Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Mexicans are the greatest fans you could ever have in your arena. They love it, and they treat wrestling like it's a theater, like it's art. They don't just sit on their hands. They're cheering, they're dancing. It's so much fun.
Creative chants. They were chanting something at me, and I couldn't understand it, but I was told that they were basically calling me the devil.
Diablo. Yeah.
And they weren't saying that because I would have understood that, but they were saying, and I was like, oh my God, it was something, curse the cursed or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I was
you should find out what it is. That should be a t-shirt.
Yeah, I'll find out. I got to watch it back because I have it on video and find out. Like, I'm going to have to just go to a bunch of people and be like, what is this? What is this? What is this? But I'm sitting, I was the first night I was first match to the curtain. So I didn't get to watch anything that they did. I didn't get to watch. I wanted to study some Puerto Rican style wrestling. and I'll find out what the crowd likes, what they don't like. They go, oh no, 2 matches need to move, you're first. And I went, okay, I'm just gonna beat the shit out of him, and he's gonna beat the shit out of me, and we're gonna go over there, and we're gonna go over there, and we're gonna go over there, and we're gonna go over there. And
how did you, if you don't mind pulling the curtain back a little bit, how did you put your match together with somebody if you don't both speak Spanish?
First night I wrestled PJ Savage, and
okay,
we beat shit out of each other.
Oh, so that was the one that you went crazy with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The second night I wrestled this guy Super Georgie, and he's like one of their luchadors, smaller dude, speaks very little English. So I was able to just like kind of like pantomime what we wanted to do, and then some kid walked up and he was like, I can kind of translate for you if you want. And I was like, kind of is better than what we're doing now.
Yeah.
But we were able to kind of talk, which was nice, and a little bit. But again, once we're out there, I can't talk to him. I can't figure out what he's saying to me. I can't even tell if he's talking to me or like talking shit at me. Like,
is your ref bilingual at that point?
No, not at all.
The ref's not even a help.
No, the first night he was, and this not at all. And I'm like, this is gonna go hilarious.
Yeah. If you actually go back and watch, if old wrestling historians, if you go back and watch like old wrestling matches where there was a Spanish wrestler or Andre Gonzalez was in the ring, Giant Gonzalez, his referee was usually his handler, and that was the one. The referee was your in-ring translator. He was the one trading things back and forth so they can talk to each other.
That's brilliant. It's the way I wish it was, but he didn't. At least he didn't let on that he could understand me at all. So he was pretty good, at least with that kayfabe. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. That's super cool. You got to do that. All right, and then the last one here is, where can people find you, and what is the future plans for Joey Conway going forward?
Where they can find me is an easier question. You can find me on like social media, obviously, Instagram. At Joey.Conway, Twitter, Joey at Joey Conway _ Facebook, I'm on there. There's 2 of them. There's a fan page and a regular page. I post the same stuff on both of them, but it helps to like both. I do have a YouTube channel that I never use, and I probably should. I made a whole like travel vlog for this Puerto Rico trip, and I didn't post it at all because I still haven't edited it, and it's edited. Oh my God, edited. But I'm gonna try to start doing those more, because I'm actually stealing this from Man Bun Jesus, Johnny Radke, because he does them. And
I started doing vlogs too, but then I life hit me really hard. I don't think I'm ready to talk about yet what's going on with me on a vlog. So I'm just kind of keeping them when I go to wrestling shows on the weekend when I'm able to get there.
That's exactly. I didn't let on once that I was completely lost. No, I was just like, oh, I'm here in Puerto Rico. Just not a clue where I am. I'm literally at one point wandering the streets. I see roosters and wild dogs and animals just all about. I'm like, I have no idea where I am. Not a clue. Not a clue. And honestly, I won't be able to find my way back. But yeah, you can find me on those social media stuff. And I'm wrestling
Thursday
in Patchogue at the Stereo Garden for Stereo Garden. Yeah, Stereo Garden. I keep calling it Sound Garden, which is hilarious.
Blackwell Sun.
Yeah, the Stereo Garden in Patchogue for Win. May 27th for NYWC.
Send everybody my love. Unfortunately, with no transmission, I cannot make the show.
Oh my God, no! You can't make that show with no transmission.
Nope.
My goodness. I'll make sure I send you some clips of what's going on.
Good.
But what was the other? There was another part to that question.
What are some future plans for Joey Conway?
Future plans, yes. The future plans. I want to do this every day, every single day of my life, for the biggest companies on the planet. So my goal is to catch the eye of those companies more than I may have already, which would be nice. All right, but they're allowed to be outside. he doesn't want me to leave. That's the problem. But I want to wrestle for every company. I want to wrestle. I want to be part of people's dream matches. I want to be in that, in that discussion where people go, who do you want to see wrestle? I want my name to pop up every single time.
Well, is there anyone on the scene that you haven't worked, or maybe you have but you'd like to get it back? What are some names you want to work? Let's speak stuff in existence here.
I want to work Jordan Oliver. I want to work Alec Price. I want to Rex Lawless.
Love those two.
Have killed each other in multiple different places. I want to wrestle Rex.
You know who I said who I'd like to watch you work, and it's a heel versus heel match, because I think you are both these are the epitome of heels in the New York area. You and Darius Carter.
Dude, I've heard that so many times, and I don't know how that match would go. I think both of us would just walk out.
It would have to end in a draw, like. Yeah. But whatever the time limit is, you guys would kill each other until you hit it.
I've seen him wrestle so many times. I've been on cards.
He's so good.
Like him and Gangone too. I want to wrestle Gangone so bad. I've never even got the chance to touch with Gangone at all. We've never locked up. We've never anything.
Anthony Green would be a good one too.
Green, he's another one. I was so close to wrestling him one time. It was booked at one of the places I wrestled, and I don't remember where. One of the companies was going to book it, or they did book it, and I think he either he had to pull off because he couldn't make it to like that show or something. It was something weird, and it sucked. So I didn't get a chance to wrestle him. But
I have one that could realistically happen at any point in time because you're under the same banner. You versus Jocko.
Me versus Jocko would be hilarious. The promos would be the part where
I think you got, because Jocko's on that babyface run right now.
Yeah,
and you're a great heel for him, and it would be like one of the first heels he worked outside of the takeover. I think that'd be a good story.
Let's get it. I'm up for working anybody, man. At all levels, from top to bottom. I want to work Cardona. Like I got to work a little bit with him at NYWC, but I want to see what we could do. I want to see if I can. If I could build something with him, and I feel like I could. I feel like that could be real fun to do.
SWA GM Alex says I can make that happen. Gangone versus Conway, and it could be a SWA versus NYWC showcase match.
Well, make it happen. It looks like you said that you're the GM. I think me versus Gangone would be a house tear downer.
Yeah. This question here, I think you kind of already answered for him, but when wrestling overseas, how are the crowd's reactions and pops for different? We kind of went over that one a little bit.
There is a difference though.
Yeah, Geeking Out did say, he said, tell about the Kalisto story.
Kalisto?
Unless it's really long, I don't want to keep you forever. Yeah, I guess a Kalisto story.
I got no Kalisto.
I mean, Castillo, is that right? Is that makes more sense? Castillo?
I don't know. Did I tell?
Sure.
I don't know.
Maybe you said something on his podcast.
Yeah, a little blurb about half of what it was, and maybe I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But like wrestling, like Puerto Rico, if you watch the pay-per-view, watch it back. I watched it with my fiance, and I told her how the crowd was going to react, and she was like, "Oh, that'll be fun." Every time they do something, they go like, "Ooh ah, ooh ah!" It's the greatest sound ever, and I do it all.
Where can people watch it?
I hope it's going to be out soon. I think they're starting to slowly release match by match. Because
on YouTube?
I think so. It's a 2-day tournament event. So I think they're going to slowly, start releasing more and more. I'm supposed to get the match soon. So if they don't release it, I'll release it.
Is there commentary on it?
No. You want to do commentary on it?
That'd be fun. Send it over. I'll throw a track on it.
I'll send it to you after.
All right. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Hell yeah, we'll do a fun collaboration on this.
I have a guy I can throw in the booth, and we can do it virtually and send it back to you and put some commentary on it.
That would rule. That would absolutely rule. Yeah,
that'd be sick. I've never called a Joey Conway match, so that'd be a cool way to do it.
Trouble. That's trouble. Especially, I want to get the PJ Savage one because at least it's it pertains to win a little more. Where I beat him. I beat his ass by Mania weekend.
Yeah.
And then we had this knockdown, drag out, beat the trash out of each other through the crowd match. It was fun. It was a blast.
Well, Joey, we hit that mark. I appreciate you so much for doing this, man. The door is always open. I hope we hit expectations. I know a lot of people were really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
So
If we
did it.
Do it again.
Absolutely. Episode 60, man. I couldn't have picked a better person for the milestone. If you guys are interested, this Thursday, I will not be live. It is a pre-recorded interview. So if you're in the chats and I'm ignoring you, it's because it's not live. But that will be with Grim from GTS Wrestling, huge YouTube star, 1.3 million subscribers. He was gracious enough to come and do the podcast. That is going to be airing on Thursday. Monday, we will have Leo Sparrow, fresh off his wrestling match with MJF, will be coming and talking to us. MLW's own Julius Smokes, all former ROH, will be on the podcast Tuesday. That'll probably be my last episode. He will get me guaranteed canceled and kicked off the internet because Julius Smokes is an awesome psychopath. Brandon Downey will be Thursday, and then Squid Sterling will be rounding out on Tuesday for the end of the month. And I'll give you one teaser for next month. The first of the month on June will be someone you just talked about on this podcast twice. PJ Savage coming to the ABJ podcast.
Sorry to hear that. I won't watch that. That's fine.
But thank you guys all so much for hanging out. Joey, thank you once again for your time. It was an absolute pleasure. Make sure you check out the links below to support the podcast. Grab some merchandise. Follow us both on social media. Grab his merch, grab my merch, and show that support. And we'll see you guys on Thursday.
Get him
with Grim.
What is you have a Patreon or something?
I have Patreon. I have merch. I have the whole thing.
Get the Patreon. Let's go.
Yeah, get it going here. And we'll see you Thursday. And we'll here is some music by the Converse kid, Billy Trey. We'll see you all on Thursday.